Thanks, Emily. And thank you everyone for putting things in the chat. That's how you get to connect with people. So as we do the interview with our dear friend Jeanette, if you have any questions for her, put those in the chat. And then after our interview, we'll get to those questions. Okay, so don't hesitate to ask questions. Okay, so Jeanette, first off, thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to be with us. FDOT has been a longtime partner of ours and of our partner organization, Go for the Greens. And we know that through you, FDOT is one of those organizations that does more than just talk, right? So when you say there are opportunities, those opportunities actually exist. And I love your candor, because I have sat in on panels where you're very candid in your responses. And I think that our members always appreciate that, right? If there are no opportunities, there are no opportunities just now. It doesn't mean there won't ever be any opportunities, but pay close attention to what Jeanette is going to have to say. So let me start off by asking you, Jeanette, how long you've been in supplier diversity and why are you so passionate about it?
I've been in supplier diversity. It's going to be 10 years in March when I joined the Florida's Turnpike Enterprise. Before, and still am a general contractor. And I got hired for my position because I could understand people that were in contracting and I could speak that language. And I'm very passionate about it because I think that there are a lot of opportunities for small companies. But as one person that used to own a small company and now assist small companies, I know how many are not even aware of the amount of resources that are available out there to help them really establish their company and grow it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the marketplace becomes a better place if we can really encourage the small businesses to begin bidding on projects, because people are very shy, particularly women were very shy. I read this interview where men will go to an interview when they can answer 10% of the questions, and women will only go if they meet 90% of the requirements. And so I think there's a lot of space for us, and it's really, I like helping small companies find a path to grow.
Beautiful. Thank you. And tell us about your title. Your title is MBE manager. So tell us about that.
Turnpike Enterprise is very unique within FDOT. FDOT usually is going to be very concentrated on the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program because that's a federal requirement for federal funds. At the Florida's Turnpike Enterprise, we have no federal funds. We only are funded by state funds. Basically, everybody's that using our road funds us. So we like to keep good tabs on the minority participation. Now, as most women that are in this chat must know, there's a lot of definitions of what a minority is according to every single agency that will certify you. I can give you the good news that certifying with the Office of Supplier Diversity is very simple. There's only about 6,000 people registered with them in every single category. That's not a lot of people for a state as large as Florida. And you have access to 42 state agencies, contracts. So it's a great opportunity to do that. My job, as I define it, is put together the dots. I'm not in purchasing. That would be a conflict of interest for us. But I know everyone that is. And so I know where contracts begin, and I know what you need to do to be able to grow to get to us. Like I always tell all of our small businesses, you don't wake up one day and say you want to work with us, because it's a bit complicated. We have very large contracts, but there are many steps that can be taken to begin working with us and begin getting on the smaller contracts and grow your way into working with the Florida's Turnpike. And it's a great company to work with.
Thank you. So what's the process of becoming a supplier with well, I guess with Florida's Turnpike Enterprise, and then maybe if you could speak to Florida, the FDOT as well.
FDOT, well, all of the bids that are over 35,000 are going to be publicly bid. It depends on where you are. All you need to do is go to Google and you can put Florida districts, Florida's FDOT districts, and you will find the geographical areas that mark each district. So in that sense, if you're in South Florida, you would be looking probably at districts 4 and 6. If you're in Central Florida, you would be looking at District 5. If you're in the West Coast, 7. If you're in Polk 1. So you have to know where you're geographically located. Stephanie in Jacksonville, 2. And so first you want to know what area you wish to cover, because we're very large. And every single district is going to have a contracts administration page that tells you what bids come out. The way that I would begin the process with us is there's something called the Business Development Initiative, and every district also has that. If you're in professional services, of course, it can't waive certain of the requirements for professional services, but in construction, it does waive the requirement for a bid bond and a performance bond in contracts of up to 150,000. And it will waive the prerequisites of being pre-qualified for certain areas. And those are contracts that can only be accessed by small business enterprises. So it's a good opportunity if you don't have all of the bonding and insurance that you need in place. It's a good place to start.
Okay, and that again was the Business Development Initiative.
Business Development Initiative. If you go to FDOT or if you go to any of the districts, your particular district, go into Contracts Administration, and Contracts Administration will tell you all the contracts that are going to come out. Now, the easiest way is if you register yourself in My Florida's Marketplace, and you put there what type of codes you're interested in getting bids for and what geographical areas you're interested in getting bids for. Then you'll get bids from the 42 state agencies on the particular area that you are interested. FYI, do not put all of the codes under the sun. As soon as I see a vendor that does too many things, you can't work with us, because the margins are not large when you work for the state. So you have to be specialized in what you do. You can't be someone that's going to hire someone else. And we have that happen a lot. You know, oh, I'm going to hire X to do this. There's not enough money for it. And that's not what we're looking for, really. What we're looking is for people that can perform the work. So be very specific about what you want. And because we are the state of Florida, we have the Sunshine Law. You're able to get past bids on every single contract there is. And there's also a history of contracts that have been let on the procurement site for each district. So I'm helping right now a company that does fencing. I put together the last 6 contracts that have come out. We requested through public records all of the docs so that before they begin bidding, they can get familiar with the requirements of that contract, of those types of contract. Then you're going to have the bid tab analysis, which means that all of the bids of every single contractor that were out there are there. So you can see how your numbers are going to be compared to the other people. This way you can figure out if you really want to do business with us or not. In professional services, it's the same logic applies. You can go ahead and you can see every single contract that has come out. It's a bit more, there's a bit more leeway when you're in professional services. And the state of Florida consider professional services anything that the state requires a license to do. You're an engineer, a landscape architect, an architect, a surveyor. All of those things are going to be professional services, but because that is but for the best fit, it's not necessarily low bid, while all construction and maintenance is low bid.
Right, and I've heard that some other things that appear in the public documents are who the contract officer is, the terms of the contract, the name of the person who was awarded the contract. So you can get a lot of information from those public documents, right? You can know, for example, that a specific contract is in place for the next 2 years. So there's no
Mhm.
need to try to bid on that contract, but get in the queue so that when the contract does come up for bid, you're ready, right? And you can be doing, as Jeanette has said, you can be doing some research in the meantime, requesting the public documents, looking at the pricing, looking at who the contracts officer is, start developing a relationship, and all of that. So we should really take advantage of the fact that the Sunshine State has these open documents through the legislation, and really do your homework. Right.
At the Florida Turnpike, we do that homework for people. We have put together every single contract that has come out in the last 4 years. So we'll have a tab that says, okay, if you look at these are all of the landscaping, these are all of the um, cleaning, these are all of the fencing, guardrails, and even the large contracts, because there are going to be many businesses that, for example, we'll be approached and they say, well, I do lighting. Well, maybe that's not something that's going to come in as a single contract. They do come out, but many times they're going to be part also of the work, or I do trucking, or I do fencing. Well, many of those contracts can be rolled in under a large contract. So if you know who has the contract, like I always say, you know who has our money, and you know who you can go ahead and ask if they have any use, or like you said, Nancy, begin introducing themselves and building the relationship so that when they do have another opportunity, they know you're in the market and they can contact you to at least give them an estimate or a quote on how much it would be to do that job for them.
Beautiful. Very important. Okay, so our third question is certification important, and what certifications do you recognize?
Well, we have 2 certifications. Actually 3. So we have the business development enterprise, which is the DBE, disadvantaged business enterprise. That's a federal requirement. That is a really good certification to have, because a lot of the primes, although we don't have a mandatory requirement, are encouraged to have participation, and they do have to have a affirmative action plan every time they put in a bid. So it's important to be DBE certified, and most of the districts are going to be they're going to concentrate a lot on DBE certification. That also runs for all the airports and all of the waterways, anything that moves things, transportation, that is going to be DBE certified. We have a whole program, FDOT has a whole program through the Construction Estimating Institute. Well, they will basically take you by the hand and show you how to get DBE certified. They'll give you classes, which are called the CDMP classes, and they'll teach you how to read plans for our type of business and how to do estimates and cost savings. I mean, they have really a major plan. And they also have 2 companies that they have hired that help match small contractors with larger contractors. One is for the really small contractors, beginners, and others are for contractors that can sell more than $2 million and are all good to go. And those are for the primes that have more than $50 million as their contract. So there's really no excuse for our primes not to be able to participate, because we put in a lot of resources to make sure that they do. Then there's the state certification, which is the minority business enterprise. We get rated on those at all of FDOT. So this year we are working heavily on increasing those numbers and keeping the numbers we had. Last year we had $69 million of expenditures with certified small businesses. And 113 million with people that said that they were minorities but did not get certified. Now, the state does have a we are a race neutral state, so we cannot have set asides or give you bonus points or anything for such. But every time that I have a vendor or some of my internal units here, our internal units at Turnpike, they'll contact me and they say, Jeanette, do you have MBEs that do A? Do you have MBEs that do B? Do you have MBEs that do this? So I go through my list and I check, and then I send that information over to them. And the schools and everyone will accept MBE certification
Mhm.
and have more leeway in giving contracts and having set asides.
Mhm.
Then there's the small business enterprise. Because we are a race neutral state, we're going to have a lot of companies that are, well, small according to the small business enterprise is not really small. In construction is $15 million or less in sales for the last 3 fiscal years. And in professional services is 6.5 million. But when you see the amount of work that we do at Turnpike, you get this sensation that 15 million isn't that much. But what it does do is it makes sure that the large contractors cannot compete for the small ones. It was very common back in 2000, in 10, 11, 12, when the market crashed and I just joined, that the large contractors would take all the contracts, every single one, because they already have the staff and they needed to get them busy, and they didn't care if they were making money on it or not. They just needed to keep their staff busy. And then given those circumstances, the program was created to give the opportunity to small businesses to actually be able to get their foot in the water and not get blown out of the water by the large contractors.
Mhm.
So those are the 3 programs that we manage at FDOT.
Mhm. And women fall under the MBE as well as the SBE as well as the DBE, right? So
Yes.
yeah, just because it doesn't have a W, ladies, doesn't mean you don't qualify, right? You can always qualify. And then give us the name again. You said the Construction Estimating Institute.
Yes, the
Yeah.
Construction Estimating Institute.
Okay.
And if you go to their website, and it's going to have government programs, and
Uh-huh.
just go under Florida, and they are absolutely awesome.
Perfect. Okay, so I hope everybody's taken note of that, and if someone can put that in the chat for us, because Jeanette said they have all kinds of classes that are going to be very helpful to you. Okay, beautiful. And our fourth question to you, Jeanette, is what's the best way to get noticed by your team?
It's kind of complicated because everything that's over 35,000, at least for construction, is going to be publicly bid. Now, my recommendation is always begin on contracts that are less than 35,000 that require 2 bids. The best way of getting noticed is introducing yourself to us, but being able to deliver what you promise that you will do.
Mhm.
The largest headache that any minority business manager has is companies that will say, I can do this. You introduce them, they cannot deliver on the product, and then the credibility that you have been building for years goes away.
Mhm.
And then you create a complicated situation for all of the people that are willing to meet them. We have been very lucky. It has not happened to us very often, but I always give the disclaimer because it just, takes you from a 9 to a 2 every time it happens with our credibility levels here internally. So you introduce yourself, and you can either introduce yourself to Tony or to me, and we will guide you through the process. But the incredible thing is we not only know about opportunities that are available at the Turnpike, we know about every single opportunity that's available because our line of work includes attending all of our industry partners events. So Duke Energy, Disney, Orlando Health, Tampa, Moffitt Cancer Center, everyone, we're a very small community. And because we're a very small community, we know each other and we recommend people to each other. So when I hear that there's something going on in Tampa that I know a company that does, for example, metalwork, I'll call them up and say, hey, have you looked at the contract that's going to be coming out in Tampa? Because this is really a good opportunity for your company.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
if we don't have necessarily the work inside of Turnpike, we'll go ahead and tell you who really does have that type of work or that line of work. And we can introduce you to the business, the minority managers at those places also.
Mhm, mhm. So we often tell our members, Jeanette, that they should have a top-notch capability statement, right? And that they should use that capability statement as kind of a calling card. So what are your feelings on that? Would you accept if some of our members sent you their capability statement sort of as an introduction, to kind of build a relationship with you so that they are top of mind when you hear of these different opportunities?
Oh, absolutely. We love capability statements because it really narrows down what we need. You know, it's not the same that you say you want to do. Um, our landscaping contracts are pretty large. You know, we all have landscaping contracts for 500,000, $1.5 million. I mean, it just goes for any, but it's not the same if your capabilities are in South Florida than if they are in North Florida. So
Mhm,
we really like to know your geographical area, your reach, and that goes to the point where you don't hire a painter to do your interior paint of one office, the same one that you're going to hire to paint the whole building, because you just need different capabilities. The person
mhm,
that can paint this whole building is not going to be competitive for just painting one office. His overhead is too large. So I always tell people it's very important. It's very important also to have your website up to snuff, because if I forget, I'm going to go check your website and I want to make sure of what you do. And I want to make sure of what you have. And they should put their certifications there and say, okay, we're certified with these people. And these are our past clients.
mhm.
Why? Because nobody wants to be the first with a small business. That's the truth. You know, we want to see that you've done enough work, that you are not just, a beginner. And that really helps us be able to know where we have to send those people. And it's easy for me to just email one, and now more than any time, in COVID related, we're all part of a time remote. So it's very easy for me to say, hey, I just found this company, they do this, would you be interested? And I can just email any of the other people in my organization or outside, and they can actually give me an answer much easier than meeting personally at this point.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, and I'm going to take this one step further, ladies, and say your website up to snuff and easy to find the information that is needed. So I would suggest that you have actually a tab that says past performance or clients. That way, Jeanette is just going to go straight there and she's going to find it. She doesn't have to look through the About Us section. She doesn't have to look through whatever else section. She goes straight there and she finds it. Same with your capability statement. Make it easy, easy, easy to find. And then, as Jeanette said, make your certifications easy to see as well. They should be on the front page, the home page, and then you can add them again. You can repeat them again throughout the website, but nobody wants to go digging because actually you're not the only one they're looking at. And if it's too hard for them to find something from you, they're going to move on to the next person. So thanks for that, Jeanette. Um, our next question is, what are the current opportunities that you see where some of our members can bid?
What do our members do? The
Everything.
people that are online right now, what is their area of expertise?
Well, you know what? Let's put, if everybody online will put in the chat just a description, 1 or 2 words of what you do. And then while that's happening, I'm going to ask Jeanette a couple of other questions, and then we'll go back and Jeanette will be able to point out some of the things if there are opportunities. So everybody put in 1 or 2 lines, 1 or 2 words of what it is you do. Um, so Jeanette, let me go back to, um, your role, right? So your role, it sounds like you're an advocate for small businesses, right? For minority business enterprises. And I think that a lot of people don't know the difference between someone in your role and someone in procurement. So can you say, do you have like a quick answer? What is the difference between what you do and what procurement officers do?
It's very interesting because we are at Florida's Turnpike, we are a 90%, 10% joint venture with the private sector. So only 10% of the people here are state employees. So as to most MBE managers can manage procurement in many organizations, that is not true with us. What I know is where the contracts begin and who has them, because
Mhm.
those will all begin in an area. So any type of contract that's going to come out for construction will come out of the construction team. My job really is to put together the dots. I can tell you which contracts are going to come out when,
Mhm.
and who are the people that are going to be letting those contracts. So that's the difference. The difference is someone that's in procurement, for example, in the schools, that person would manage the bid. That person would have that.
Mhm.
Here, the order is generated by the project manager who sends it up to procurement. Then procurement gives it a legal form and they put it out for bid. But they really have no input in the contract or anything. They just put a legal form to everything that construction has told them. So
Mhm.
FYI, our contracts are 120 pages long, probably. 100 pages is standard boilerplate contract. Read it once so you know what you're entitled to. And the last 20 pages probably are going to be your actual construction documents. It is important to read at least once
Mhm.
what the documents are, because I'll get questions of, what can I get for this? Can I go ahead and lien, or I can sue? And all of that is going to be there in the contract, how you have to get paid, what you can get paid. The good thing of working with government is we don't pay much, but we pay on time.
Mhm.
It's good work once you know how to do it. I've been looking at what people do. There's several things that, yes, we do.
Mhm.
For IT, unfortunately, that is going to be a state contract. So state contracts are something that are run by one company, and then they will give us the names of companies, and our people can choose from the people within a state contract. That is true for most commodities. For example, we will not buy, unless absolutely required, anything that's not from Office Depot or Staples, because we have state contracts with them. So we have a different pricing level for that.
Mhm.
And they cover all of the 42 state agencies. So we're bound by them.
Mhm.
Then I saw we have people that also did, I think, security relocation. So there's quite a bit. And for that, I would need their capability statements to see exactly to in what area and how much. Does it
Mhm.
make sense? Because, let's see. Do I buy, this is another question that they always ask, do I buy promotional products? Every now and then. So like this year we had promotional products that we had to buy because the EBF, which is our business fund, our employee business fund, gives gifts. So we bought some, but it's not common because the state doesn't authorize us to buy things like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Energy consulting, unfortunately, no. We have a whole interior team that does that work, that works just in utility management. And they know exactly, how we manage our energy flow. And I've learned about it, and they really know what they're doing here.
Okay, so there was like a general question. Camille wants to know, can you list where you post all the RFPs in Demand Star? Is that a place where you post the RFPs?
I don't think so. I don't really know, but I think that many of the places, like BidClerk and all of them, will take the free information from ours and post it to their sites.
Okay.
So anyone that would like that information, just shoot me an email and I'll put the attachments of where you can find, because we have two places where you can find bids. You're going to have the construction and maintenance bids that are found in the contract procurement. And then you're going to have to go to the professional services side if you wanted to see anything that is going to be engineering, architectural, surveying, anything that has to have an engineer of record
Okay.
or license attached to it.
Beautiful. Okay, so I guess the best thing, Jeanette, what would be a general email that someone could type into the chat where people could send you their capability statement?
Oh,
Um,
can I type it?
oh yeah, so Jeanette.schutz@dot.state.fl.us. That's for the person who's on the phone. I'll repeat it again. It's Jeanette, Jeanette .Schutz, SCHUTZ at dot.state.fl.us. Okay, so that's where you want to send Jeanette your capability statement. And then from there, she'll get back to you if there's an opportunity. And this is, step number one in developing a relationship with Jeanette.
Please do not put an L on my last name or it will not find me.
Okay.
This is how it goes. Also, if you get certified with the state as a minority, as an MBE, we put you in a list and we send emails that are targeted to our MBEs where we don't make them look at all of the bids. We just tell them everything that's going to go according to their activity. So if you do thermoplastic paving, then striping, then we're going to go ahead and we'll only send you the bids that include that activity there. So you don't have to see all of the bids that come out, because once a month you're going to have procurement coming out. Once a month, the contracts will come out to let. It can be 3, it can be 10, it can be 15, and we never know.
Okay, beautiful. And I see someone has asked, what is a capability statement? That this is her first meeting. And thank you, Camille, for suggesting she read my book. So if one of my team members will put a link to my book in the chat, that would be perfect. But Sarah, a capability statement is like a bio of your business. It's one page, it can be back and front, but it has some basic information about your business, and it's meant to be like a quick read. So it'll have your NAICS codes, it'll have your contact information, generally a photo of yourself. It'll have a description, it'll talk about past performance and clients. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to do capability statements. And if one of my team members will also put the YouTube. Oh, thanks, Steph. I see you. You put that in there. Thank you. Okay, perfect. All right. So our final question for you, Jeanette, is give us an example of a successful supplier. Did they pivot their business? Did they, or how did they keep in contact with you?
They introduced themselves. I'll give you an example. We had it, every small job can become a big job depending on your performance. So we had a remodel that needed to be done at the building. And it was probably around 35,000, which is not a humongous number, but it was going to be under the threshold. And I introduced them to our facilities manager, who was the person that was going to handle that contract, because it's under 35,000. It only needs 3 people to bid on it. We prefer to have 1 or 2 MBEs if possible.
Mhm.
And they did a great job. If they do a good job, now we're going to have more construction going in the building, and they will be invited to bid on those projects. Other people that are very successful are the people that acknowledge and understand what role they play when they're going to be a sub. So they come to all of the contracts where they're not going to be the prime, but they come to the letting, because once you have that mandatory meeting, they introduce themselves to the primes that are going to bid on the contract and say, hey, if you're looking for your DBE, MBE participation, this is my name, give me a call and we'll get through this.
Mhm.
I also had a very, very successful MBE. We were looking for someone that would do, basically it was helping a prime reach their MBE numbers. And so it was, when you take somebody's payroll and they processed it under them. And RMI came in with Layla Eagle back in the day, and they did an incredible job. And incredibly enough, that was a contract that needed an MBE. I sent it to 4 and only 1 responded. So
Mhm.
it's very important to be responsive. And if you're not going to be responsive, because I understand that in this market, sometimes you're going to have limitations if you cannot get the personnel you need to be able to perform the contract and you don't want to look bad with it.
Mhm.
Just because I introduced you to the people that manage the contracts, like our facilities manager or our construction managers, you just send them an email that says, you're grateful for the opportunity. You do not feel you can perform that contract. Not that they find out that you didn't bid on it when they invite you to bid on it. I think there's a roofer. We're going to have some roofing going on next year or this year, probably at one of the headquarters. So you need to communicate with them and say, it's not that we don't appreciate it. It's just that we don't feel that we are at that level. And I've had that happen more than once, where I have very successful landscape companies that do not feel that they can perform to the contract that was in, they were invited to, because the person that's putting the contract out likes them and wants them to bid on it. And all they require is a simple communication. You know what? Thanks, but I really can't. No thanks, because I don't have the people. We'll have that also. We have that in pressure washing also. So it's just keeping communication, because although at the end of the day, the bid will go to the lowest bidder, it's still a good thing, because when you have smaller contracts, then you get called.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's a really important point, Jeanette, is, silence is not golden all the time, right? So if somebody reaches out to you with a bid opportunity and you're not interested, rather than ignoring it and saying, I'm not interested, just say, thank you very much. I really appreciate you kept me in mind for this opportunity. Right now, I can't do it. Please keep me in mind for future opportunities, right? That way,
Mm-hmm.
Jeanette or whoever it is knows that you're still interested, as opposed to, as Jeanette said, she sent out 3 bids and only 1 person responded. That automatically puts the other 3 people in the, well, why did I bother sending this out if you didn't even read the bid and have the courtesy to respond? So I think that's one of the things that we have to get really used to, is saying thanks, but no thanks, right? And you don't have to go into all kinds of, personal details. Just say, I got it right now, I can't do it, but keep me in mind. And that way, Jeanette will have you still on the list. The other thing that Jeanette said, which I think is a really, really important thing to always remember, and it has to do with working on your business instead of working in your business, right? And that has to do with networking. It has to do with attending those, I don't remember what you called them, Jeanette, but the conferences where the primes are coming to bid,
Mm-hmm.
and where even you as a subcontractor or a smaller company, you have no intention on bidding as a prime, Go to those meetings. They're open. Those meetings are public. Go to those meetings, get to know the primes, get to know the procurement officers, the supplier diversity team, the MBE officers, et cetera, and let them know you're interested, right? And this is
Hmm.
who I am, and this is what I can do. And please keep me in mind if you have opportunities. Then you build a relationship and then you follow up. And eventually, as Jeanette also pointed out, a small $35,000 contract is a really good leverage to get in to be offered other opportunities to bid. So I remember one time I was working with a WBE, and she was approached for a $10,000 contract, and she said, "Oh, I'm not going to do that. It's going to take me, 3 days to fill that out, and it's only $10,000. I'm not interested." Another person got the same opportunity, and she jumped on it, and that person, that $10,000 contract turned into millions of dollars of business over the years, right? So don't turn your nose up on something that you think is too small for you. If your goal is to work with Florida's Turnpike Enterprise or FDOT, you might as well start small and build the relationships from the get-go.
And
Okay.
I think it's good to start small because then you see how we pay.
Mhm.
And, it's easier to have 35,000 on the line than having 150, 250, 500,000 on the line, uh,
Mhm.
which requires certain capabilities. And I wouldn't discourage anyone to dream big and say, I want to be $1 million contractor with your firm. That's not impossible. You just have to begin doing the small steps one at a time, have a business plan, know how you're going to attack it, and begin growing.
Mhm.
And growing slowly but surely is the best way of growing your company. Because we've seen a lot of people that try to do more than they can. And because our contracts can be very large, they can really kill you.
Mhm.
So it's better just, to grow slowly. I coach a lot of the small companies because of that. Um, Got to be careful what you wish for.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Jeanette. I see that we're close to the top of the hour. I hope we've answered everyone's questions. But thank you. This was a very, very informative session on many, many different levels. Again, you're a great partner and have been to us and to our partner organizations like Go for the Greens. And we're always so thankful to see both you and Tony at our events. And FDOT and Florida's Turnpike always participate in our matchmaker events. So again, an opportunity to get to know Jeanette, for Jeanette to get to know you. And I hope that this has been helpful. I'm going to open it up to our team. Any final comments or words for Jeanette?
I want to say thank you, my friend. It's so good to see you. And even though I've been working with you for a long time in our nonprofits, I have taken a ton of notes. So
Well, thank you for having me because we really appreciate all the work that guys do for the women business owners. We know how important it is for our women business owners to really find encouragement and support. And I have the fortune of working with Nancy and also working with Diane. And Kumbaya is one of our big things that Go for the Greens. And I
great.
think it's just awesome because women business owners, we do have a different way of looking at things. And so having a sisterhood where you can actually reach out to people and have a support network is very important. So thank you so much for the work that all of you do supporting women business owners.
Our pleasure. And having partners like you makes it really easy and enjoyable. So thank you.
Yeah, and tell Tony hi. We saw him. I can't believe it's been a year already since our regional event in Tampa, but yeah, tell him hi from us too.
He was multitasking today because CEI today had a DBE um, platform, and I was on it. That's why I told Stephanie I might be a bit late
Mhm.
because it ended at 1. So he was multitasking today, but I will let him know. He's absolutely fabulous. My right hand at the office is Tony Espinosa for everyone, and
Yeah.
he's absolutely a delight to work with.
Mhm. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, well, thank you very much, Emily. I'm gonna turn it back to you as our hostess.
Well, thank you so much, Jeanette. This was a total pleasure and so many insights. And I have several pages of notes as well, because, you know, maybe you're used to saying these things and you're used to it from your perspective, but when we hear it differently or hear it another way, it kind of sheds a new light. So thank you for that. And we encourage everyone to come on Facebook. This is going on Facebook as well. Put your information on Facebook. Jeanette, if you're on Facebook, maybe you can come comment on our post. And
Okay.
people-
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Jeanette.
Bye, thanks,
Thank
Jeanette.
you.
Bye.
Bye.